Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're diving into some seriously wild stuff happening in the Ukraine war.
Definitely wild.
We're talking North Korea.
Yeah,
You probably heard the rumors.
definitely a lot of buzz.
But we're going deeper, way deeper. Russia, as we know, is having a tough time. They need allies, need resources,
Yeah, they're scrambling.
and that's where North Korea comes in. Buckle up, deep divers.
Yeah.
Because this is going to get interesting.
No kidding. This whole thing is a massive geopolitical earthquake.
Let's kick things off with a bombshell. South Korean intelligence suggests North Korea might have already sent, get this, 10,000 troops to Ukraine.
10,000.
Ukrainian intel is backing this up, but the exact numbers are a bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
Why the discrepancies? What's going on there?
Well, intelligence gathering in a war zone is messy, right?
Yeah,
It's like trying to count shadows in a blizzard.
makes sense.
Plus, you've got Russia screaming fake news.
All right, denying everything.
Western propaganda. That's their line.
Yeah. Yet at the same time, they're openly saying you're getting closer with North Korea.
Oh, yeah, calling it a strategic partnership, whatever that means.
So what's the truth? What are they hiding? It just reeks of suspicion. And this isn't just some new fling, right?
No, not at all. Russia and North Korea, they go way back. We're talking Cold War buddies, you know?
Oh, like back to the Korean War, right?
Exactly. Soviets backed the North, and that connection, it never really went away.
Interesting. So there's history there.
Tons of it. Economic ties, military aid, the whole package. But things got real official this past June.
Ah, with that new treaty.
The one and only. They pledged to defend each other. Signed, sealed, delivered. And get this, the wording is almost word for word like NATO's Article 5.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, which is why everyone's calling it a NATO of autocracies, which is a pretty scary thought.
It's a scary thought. And even before this whole treaty thing, stuff was already getting shady, wasn't it?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Seems like North Korea's been sneaking artillery to Russia for over a year, quietly, under the radar. We could be talking millions of shells hidden in over 13,000 shipping containers.
Wow. 13,000.
Crazy, right. And what are they getting in return? Food aid,
Food. So Russia's getting weapons and North Korea's getting fed.
basically. Pretty good deal for Russia, I'd say, especially considering...
Well, their population differences, right? I mean, North Korea's tiny compared to Russia.
Exactly. Tiny country, massive military.
Speaking of which, their military is surprisingly huge, isn't it?
Oh, it's insane. They've got like 1.3 million active personnel out of a population of what, 26 million?
Whoa, everyone's in the army.
Pretty much. Mandatory service, super strict. So yeah, they've got a lot of bodies they can throw around.
Okay, but what about their tech? Isn't it, like, super outdated?
It's true, they're not exactly known for cutting-edge stuff.
Right.
But here's the thing. This war is like a weird time machine. You've got WWII-era stuff bumping up against the latest drones.
So both sides are using a mix.
A total mishmash. And that's actually really valuable for North Korea. They're watching closely, seeing what works, what doesn't.
That's where those North Korean engineers come in, right?
Boots on the ground, gathering intel. They're learning how to improve their own weapons.
Makes sense. And don't forget those crazy missile tests they keep doing.
41 launches in 2023 alone. Most of them failed, sure, but they're gaining experience, refining their tech. And with what they're learning in Ukraine, well, it's a bit scary.
Definitely a bit scary. But back to those 10,000 troops. Does that even make a dent in a war this huge?
It's easy to say it's a drop in the bucket, right?
Especially compared to how many Russia has lost.
Over 670,000 by some estimates. But this could just be the first wave.
Like a test run.
Exactly. Dip their toes in, see how it goes, especially with Russia's manpower problem.
Which are, Boo? Remind me.
Well, on paper, Russia's got tons of soldiers, but a lot of them are just one-year conscripts.
Oh, they can't go fight overseas.
Nope. Their real core is contract soldiers, and those numbers are dropping fast.
And North Korea has a big pool of potential recruits.
Willing or not, they've got the bodies. It's a pretty cynical equation, but that's war, I guess. But why now? What triggered this whole escalation?
What changed?
Well, there's one event that stands out. Ukraine's offensive in Kursk back in August. They took back some land.
Yeah, I remember that.
But more importantly, they called Putin's bluff on those nuclear threats. Huge morale boost for Ukraine,
But it gave Putin an excuse.
bingo. He spun the Kursk thing as a direct attack on Russia, which means...
He could activate that defense pact with North Korea.
Exactly. Gotta send troops to Kursk, it's self-defense.
Convenient.
Super convenient. So those troops might not even be for fighting on the front lines.
Could be a distraction, forcing Ukraine to spread their forces thin, keeps them busy while Russia focuses on the real problem.
Which is?
Those long-range strikes Ukraine's been pulling off, hitting targets deep inside Russia.
Like those oil refineries.
Those, plus ammo depots, air bases, you name it.
That hurts, both strategically and economically. Oh yeah, oil and gas exports make up almost half of Russia's budget. Hit those and you hit them where it hurts.
And then you've got those drone attacks on Moscow.
Psychological warfare, pure and simple, keeps the pressure on, shakes things up. Ukraine's playing a smart game here, but there's one more piece of this puzzle, a big one.
Let me guess. The U.S. election.
The elephant in the room. Trump coming back could change everything. His stance on Russia, NATO, all that.
It's a wild card, that's for sure. Could completely change the game for Ukraine.
No doubt. And we haven't even touched on North Korea's motivations.
Yeah, what's in it for them besides food and, sticking it to the West?
Well, think about it. They're getting real-world combat experience for their military, especially those engineers.
Right, they're watching and learning.
They're gathering data that could help them prep for a future conflict, maybe even something with South Korea.
That's not a good thought. But are these North Korean troops even up for the task? Are they actually ready to fight?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And some early reports are raising some big red flags.
Oh, like what?
Well, word on the street is there have already been defections. At least 18 soldiers have gone AWOL in Kursk and Bryansk.
Wow, seriously, what does that tell us?
Hard to say for sure, but it makes you wonder about their morale, the conditions they're facing. Are they being coerced? Are they even properly trained to work with the Russian army?
Lots of questions. So are these guys just cannon fodder for Russia, or could they actually tip the scales in this war?
That's what we need to figure out. This whole alliance, it's a game changer, that's for sure. We've gone from rumors to a full-blown geopolitical earthquake in what feels like a blink of an eye.
It's crazy, right? And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
Oh yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
To really understand what's going on, we need to dig deeper into the economics, the technology, the potential fallout on a global scale.
Well, then let's keep digging, shall we? Stay tuned, deep divers, because this deep dive is about to get even deeper. Okay, so we've established this whole alliance is about a lot more than just, troops for food.
Right. It's a lot more nuanced than that.
Both Russia and North Korea have deeper motives here.
Yeah.
It's a strategic game for both of them.
Absolutely.
So let's unpack those motivations, shall we?
Let's do it.
Starting with North Korea. They're getting food aid, sure. They're getting combat experience. But what else?
Well, they crave legitimacy, right?
Legitimacy.
Yeah, they want to be seen as a player on the world stage.
They want respect.
Exactly. And this alliance, it helps them thumb their nose at the international community.
It's a power move.
Totally. It says, hey, we matter.
Makes sense. But speaking of power, let's talk about the big, scary elephant in the room.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Nuclear weapons. North Korea's been developing them for years, and now they're buddy-buddy with Russia, which, has the biggest nuclear arsenal on the planet.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence.
Definitely not. So are they sharing intel, technology? I mean, it's a terrifying thought.
It's a huge concern, no doubt. We haven't seen any smoking gun evidence yet, but the potential for collaboration is definitely there.
And North Korea is notoriously unpredictable. Throw nukes into this mix, and things could get really messy really fast.
No one wants to see that happen, but this situation, it's like a powder keg.
So let's zoom out for a sec. Big picture time. Where does this Russia-North Korea thing fit into, the whole global power struggle?
Well, it's part of a bigger trend, a shift away from that U.S.-led world order that we've had for decades.
We're talking about a new power bloc emerging.
Exactly. You've got Russia and China already tight, and now North Korea joins the party.
It's a counterweight to NATO and the West.
That's one way to look at it. They're pushing back against what they see as Western dominance. They want a multipolar world where their voices count for more.
And Ukraine is like the battleground for this whole power struggle.
A proxy war, absolutely. Both sides are vying for control, influence. The stakes are incredibly high.
So what happens next? Are we headed for a more divided world, like these rival blocs just staring each other down?
It's a real possibility, and honestly, it's pretty concerning. We're seeing tensions rise, military buildups, a breakdown of trust.
It feels like things could easily spiral out of control. Could this conflict spill beyond Ukraine's borders? I mean, with North Korea involved.
It's a valid concern. Any miscalculation, any accident, the consequences could be catastrophic.
So how do we stop that? What can be done to de-escalate things before it's too late?
Diplomacy is key, even if it's messy and complicated.
Talking to your enemies.
Exactly. Keeping those lines of communication open is crucial. We need to find common ground, reduce the risk of things going nuclear, literally and figuratively.
What about international organizations? Like the UN, can they do anything?
They have a role to play, sure, but they're limited, especially with the Security Council.
Right, because Russia and China can just veto anything they don't like.
Exactly. It's frustrating, but that's the reality. Finding a way to work together, reach consensus on issues like sanctions, peacekeeping, it's incredibly difficult.
So we're stuck in a stalemate.
Not necessarily. Regional organizations, bilateral agreements, those offer alternative avenues for dialogue.
So there's still hope for, finding some kind of peaceful resolution.
There has to be. Ultimately, though, it comes down to the key players, the choices they make. What happens in Moscow, Kyiv, Washington, Pyongyang, those decisions will have ripple effects across the globe.
This isn't just about Ukraine anymore, is it? It's about the future of the world.
You got it. But before we get too lost in the doom and gloom, let's circle back to something we touched on earlier, the role of technology in this whole mess.
Ah, yes, the tech angle. This war is like a showcase for how technology is changing the face of warfare.
Absolutely.
We talked about the mix of old and new weapons, but what are some of the key tech trends that are really driving this conflict?
Well, first and foremost, drones. They've become absolute game changers. Reconnaissance, targeting, even direct attacks, drones are doing it all.
It's crazy how much impact these little flying robots are having.
It's all about the democratization of technology.
Right. Synchronization.
Yeah, even small countries, non-state actors, they can get their hands on this stuff now. Capabilities that used to be exclusive to major powers.
So it levels the playing field in a way.
To some extent, yeah. It challenges the traditional dominance of big, clunky military.
And we've seen that in Ukraine. They've been using drones really effectively against the Russians.
Exactly. Russia's using them too, but not as effectively, I'd say. But it's not just drones, of course. We're seeing advancements in cyber warfare, AI, even space-based systems. All these things are impacting the conflict in different ways.
It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie, except it's all too real.
Right. And it raises some serious ethical questions about how we use these technologies in warfare.
Questions we definitely need to be asking ourselves. But for now, let's focus on the immediate impact. How is technology specifically shaping North Korea's involvement in Ukraine?
Well, for them, it's a giant testing ground, a live fire experiment for their own weapons.
We talked about their engineers watching and learning, but they're actually sending some of their tech to Russia too, right?
Yeah, there are reports that providing things like the KN-23 ballistic missile, which has a range of over 400 miles.
That's a big deal. And even though those missiles have had some reliability issues in the past.
Using them in real-world combat gives them invaluable data. They can refine their designs, improve their accuracy.
Not exactly a comforting thought for North Korea's neighbors, like South Korea and Japan.
Not at all. It definitely adds a whole new layer of tension to the regional security situation.
Exactly.
And then there's the impact of Western technology on the war.
Right. All those weapons systems NATO countries have been sending to Ukraine.
The Patriot missile defense systems, the HIMARS, rocket launchers, those have been crucial in helping Ukraine hold off the Russians.
Especially those HIMARS. They've been really effective at taking out Russian targets, even those deep behind the front lines.
Yeah, they've been a game changer. But there's always a risk of escalation.
Could giving Ukraine more powerful weapons provoke Russia into a wider conflict? It's a tough call.
It's a delicate balancing act. Supporting Ukraine's self-defense while also trying to avoid a larger war?
It's a lot to juggle.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that amidst all this talk of strategy and geopolitics, there's a very real human cost to this war. People are dying, families are being torn apart, lives are being shattered.
It's easy to forget that sometimes when you're talking about the big picture.
It is. But we can't lose sight of the human toll. This war is a tragedy, and it's important to acknowledge the suffering that's happening on the ground.
So we've covered a ton of ground here. Alliances, motivations, the scary possibility of things getting way out of hand.
Oh yeah, it's a lot to process.
And all that crazy tech that's changing how wars are fought. But what does it all mean? How do we make sense of this tangled web? I feel like we need a crystal ball or something.
Right. It's like trying to predict the weather in a hurricane. So many factors, so much uncertainty.
Exactly. But if you had to pick one thing, one wild card that could completely change the game, what would it be? What's keeping you up at night?
Honestly, it's the U.S. election. It's just a couple weeks away, and the outcome could have a massive impact on what happens in Ukraine.
We talked about this a bit earlier, but let's break it down. What are the potential scenarios, depending on who wins?
Okay, so let's say Trump pulls it off.
Okay, Trump wins. What then?
Well, his track record on Russia and NATO, it's not exactly reassuring, right?
Definitely not.
He's praised Putin, criticized U.S. involvement in NATO.
Yeah.
It's not hard to imagine him cutting off aid to Ukraine.
Or at least drastically reducing it.
Right, and that would be a huge blow for Ukraine. They're relying heavily on Western support, weapons, money, the whole nine yards.
So without that lifeline, they'd be in deep trouble.
Deep trouble. Their ability to defend themselves, to keep fighting, it would be severely compromised. Now, on the flip side, if Biden gets a second term,
Let's say Biden wins.
then we can probably expect more of the same. Continued support for Ukraine, a tough stance on Russia, sanctions, all that.
So basically a continuation of current policies.
Most likely, yeah. But even with Biden, there are no guarantees, right?
True. Things can change quickly. What's the worst case scenario, even with Biden in office?
Well, the big fear is escalation, something that could drag NATO into the war directly.
Nobody wants that. A full-blown NATO-Russia conflict.
A nightmare scenario. Or, imagine this. Public opinion in the West starts to shift. People get tired of the war, the economic fallout.
War fatigue. We've seen it happen before.
Exactly. And that could put pressure on governments to scale back their involvement, even if they want to keep supporting Ukraine.
So even with the best intentions, things could go south pretty quickly. It feels like we're walking a tightrope here. One misstep and it all falls apart.
It's a delicate balance, no question. And that's why it's so important for people to stay informed, to understand the complexities, to think critically about all these different possibilities.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
Especially in times like these. But let's step back from the political stuff for a minute. Are there other wild cards we should be thinking about, things that could come out of left field and shake things up?
Always. One thing that comes to mind is internal instability within Russia itself. This war is putting a huge strain on their economy.
Right, those sanctions are biting.
And there's growing discontent among ordinary Russians. They're feeling the pain.
So Putin's grip on power might not be as strong as it seems.
Maybe not. If the economic situation keeps getting worse, if Russia suffers more setbacks on the battlefield.
It could embolden his opponent.
Exactly. Create an opening for dissent to grow.
And that could lead to, what? A coup, a revolution, the collapse of his regime.
It's impossible to say for sure, but history shows us that even seemingly stable regimes can crumble when the pressure gets too high.
Wow. Okay, so we've got potential power shift in the U.S., potential instability in Russia. It feels like the world is spinning, you know.
It's definitely a turbulent time. But amidst all this uncertainty, all this darkness, there are also glimmers of hope. Look at the Ukrainian people. They're incredibly resilient, unbelievably courageous.
Fighting for their homeland, their freedom, it's inspiring.
Truly inspiring. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, all this turmoil will lead to something positive in the end. A new era of peace, of cooperation.
We can hope.
We have to. But for now, we need to face reality, understand the risks, and engage with this complex situation with open minds and a willingness to learn.
No easy answers, no quick fixes, just a lot of hard work, critical thinking, and a commitment to figuring things out one step at a time.
Well said. This is a time for deep dives, for digging beneath the surface, for seeking out the truth, even when it's messy and uncomfortable.
All right, deep divers, as we wrap up this episode, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
The world is changing, and the stakes are incredibly high. The decisions made in the coming months and years will have a profound impact on all of us. So stay informed, stay engaged, and never underestimate the power of your own voice.
Keep learning, keep asking questions, keep those deep dives going. This is a journey, and it's far from over. Until next time, stay curious, deep divers.